Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where a child abuser gets the snot beaten out of them. Am I the butthole for punching my ex-husband's new girlfriend for hitting my daughter? I'm a 23-year-old woman, and I have a 6-year-old daughter. I had her at 17 years old with my ex-husband, Devin. Devin and I got married at 18 and got divorced at 20 due to his cheating. He doesn't pay a dime to financially support our daughter. I'm our daughter's full-time caretaker. My ex-husband only sees our daughter once a month. I beg him to spend more time with her, but I shouldn't have to beg him to be a father. He recently got into a relationship with his new girlfriend, Haley. Ever since Haley entered my ex-husband's life, she bashed me. She blamed me for my daughter being autistic. She said that my daughter is autistic because I coddle her. I do not coddle my child. I legitimately try my best with the situation that I was dealt. My daughter was diagnosed with autism at 4 years of age. We have her in speech therapy and behavioral therapy. She has a therapist she sees twice a week. She also has developmental delays. I try to work with her every day on her speech and behavior. Yesterday, my daughter went to go stay the night at her dad's house. Her dad's girlfriend, Haley, was there. She lives there now. My daughter's father called me. He told me to come over and pick up our child because she was upset. I went to go pick her up, and I saw that she had red marks, welts, and bruises all over her legs. I was pissed and asked what happened. My daughter told me that she spilled water on the floor and on the couch. Haley got mad at her and hit her with a belt. I rushed into the house, and I don't know what came over me. I punched Haley in the face and beat the stuffing out of her. I didn't realize I did it until I saw her on the floor. Haley wanted to press charges on me, but my ex talked her out of it. I went to the police station with my daughter right after, and I filed a police report. I showed them the bruises, the welts, and marks. I pressed charges for child abuse, and I reported my husband to CPS for child neglect and abuse. I'm still shaken up from the situation. I took photos of my daughter's legs and arms. I will never let my daughter go over to her dad's ever again. I beat myself up over this. If I knew that Haley would hit my child, I wouldn't have let her go over there in the first place. Am I the butthole? Yo, there's some things you can do to just instantaneously deserve an ass whooping, and laying your hands on another person's child is top of the list. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving Haley and your ex-husband 4 out of 5 buttholes. Also, down in the comments, we learned that apparently OP smacked this woman so hard that she broke one of her own fingers. Also, she took her daughter out to ice cream to make her feel better. Am I the butthole for calling my stepmom a whore? I'm a 16-year-old girl, and my mom and dad got divorced a few months ago this year, and it was devastating for the whole family. But by far, the worst was on my mom. My dad had been cheating on my mom for 5 months with this woman from his department at work, Laura. And basically, as soon as the divorce was finalized this summer, my dad remarried Laura in a small wedding that I refused to go to. My mom is 43, and she's probably my favorite person in the world. She's genuinely so sweet and gentle, and has always been my primary caregiver and emotional support throughout my whole life. And she was always really loyal to my dad, so this was not a both were cheating situation. She was obviously distraught when my dad confessed to cheating and she left, but I could tell that she always tried to hide it from me a bit because she would always tell me to go out with my friends whenever she was crying or doing legal stuff with the divorce. The new wife, Laura, who's 41, is the opposite of my mom. She's vapid and annoying, and very much the dumb, shallow, bleach blonde type that makes you think she'd be 19 in terms of emotional maturity. She knew my mom was married to my dad, and apparently embraced her role as mistress for months, even though she knew that I existed because I saw her a couple of times in passing when I went to my dad's work. And my dad introduced me to Laura as his daughter. Laura has really been embracing the wife role since my parents' divorce, and has been acting as though she's now some kind of trad wife angel, always making bread and acting sweet with me and stuff, as though she wasn't being some massive homewrecker this summer. My parents get joint custody of me, and we all live in the same small town. So on weekends, I have to stay with my dad and put up with him and his affair partner acting all lovey-dovey. I usually just stay in my room until it's over. I hate Laura, obviously. And it culminated at breakfast this morning when Laura tried to call herself my stepmom when I said that my parents' evening at school was coming up, so my dad would have to go. She apparently wanted to go too. I was in a bad mood, so I muttered something pretty mean about her intelligence under my breath. The conversation went as follows. "Don't talk to me like that, please, young lady. I'll talk to you how I want. I'm your dad's wife now, and you just have to accept that, unfortunately. A whore with a ring is still a whore." Oh, OP! Bringing out the big guns! That's when the conversation ended because Laura burst into tears and my dad got really mad. I'm currently in my room writing this, not sure what to do. I'm starting to feel kinda guilty because it was my dad who cheated, but I don't forgive Laura and I don't think that I'll ever like her. I hate making people cry though, and I don't know whether to go down and apologize or stand my ground on this. My dad and Laura are acting like I said something crazy out of line, so I'm starting to think that insulting her was the wrong move because I don't want to start some new massive family drama. Please tell me if I'm the butthole, and if so, how can I make this right? Yo, OP, this lady ruined your mom's life. She stole your mom's husband. I mean, your dad obviously did something terrible as well, but are we supposed to have sympathy for her? Are we supposed to love her? She literally is exactly what you called her, so I don't see the problem here, OP. I'm on your side. You get 0 out of 5 buttholes, the cheaters get 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for complaining about a guy airing his nuts out at my dance studio? So I go to a pole dance studio in a small town. Very recently, they decided to make most of the classes co-ed, meaning men are allowed to join. I don't think anybody has an issue with this. Many of us are there working out in our underwear, but it's no different than the beach. Until Kevin got to class. He wears those short, baggy shorts with no underwear, and his genitals are frequently fully visible. He even jokes about it, like, "Sorry in advance for anything you might see, ladies." The apology shows that he knows that his balls are out, and he just doesn't care. He seems to think it's fine to flash his entire nutsack to a room full of unconsenting women. I am all for sharing our space with men, but none of the women are exposing their genitalia like that. It's just not done in our dance studio. If you did that at a gym, they'd tell you to cover up and leave. I'm thinking about sending an email to complain about it. It's even worse because he's one of the instructor's husbands. Am I overreacting, or is this just wildly inappropriate? OP, when I read the title, I assume you meant that he did that move. You know, guys know what I'm talking about. Where you kind of stand with your legs apart so that your balls stop sticking to the side of your leg. You know, give him a chance to cool down a bit. I wasn't expecting him to just unzip and let it all hang loose. If I had to guess, OP, this is probably some kind of fetish thing. He likes making you uncomfortable, or he likes the voyeurism, or whatever. Or maybe the wife likes it, you know, the instructor wife. Either way, it's definitely wrong and probably also illegal. So I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving him 2 out of 5 testicles. Am I the butthole for using fart spray to get my uncle to stop with his cruel prank? My Uncle John has a super fun way to make kids cry. He'll get the oil from lemon rinds and touch balloons. Sometimes they pop immediately, sometimes they take a few seconds. At every party I've ever attended where there were balloons and children, he left a trail of torn latex and crying children. My parents think that it's all in good fun. I think that he's a prick. My sister had her quinceañera last week. My contribution was a balloon arch. My sister obviously was turning 15 and didn't really care about balloons, but we got some very nice pictures with the arch. Then I set it up outside on some AstroTurf. A few other people used it for pictures as well. Then my uncle showed up. I went to him and told him that I'd paid for the arch for my baby sister's party and that I wanted him to leave it alone. He said that he would. He did not. I didn't want to have any accidents inside, so I didn't add the 3 balloons with fart spray to the arch until I moved it outside. The balloon arch was too much of a temptation. He resisted for 10 minutes or so. Then someone came out and told me what happened, so I went outside. He was about to pop one of the fart balloons, and I told him not to touch it and to stop blowing up the decorations. He didn't listen. He said that he wasn't doing anything except touching the balloons. He said it wasn't his fault they were popping. So be it. He picked up one of the fart balloons and it popped. Gagging, dry heaving, watery eyes, a profound desire to be elsewhere. I went through all of that. I can't imagine what it would be like to be drenched in the liquid form of fart spray. Drenched is an overstatement. There was at least a half fluid ounce of fart spray in that balloon. And my uncle was covered in it. Also, the pop kind of aerosolized it, so it got all over. My uncle ended up having to go home and change. It was only like half an hour that he was gone, maybe an hour. I wasn't paying attention. He did come back though, freshly showered. And he was pissed that I would play such a childish prank at such an important event for my family. I said I had no idea what he was talking about. I reminded him that he had promised to leave the balloons alone and that I had warned him not to touch the balloon that got him. My family's divided. They think that I was a jerk to play a joke at my sister's party, but they're almost universally sick of him popping balloons. My grandfather laughed his butt off. I mean, this seems pretty straightforward. If your uncle's allowed to play pranks, then others are allowed to play pranks on your uncle. Turnabout's fair play, as they say. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your uncle 1 very stinky butthole out of 5. Am I the butthole for calling off the wedding after my fiancé gave his ex closure without telling me? I'm a 28-year-old woman, and I've been with my fiancé, Tom, who's 30, for 3 years. He and his ex, Sarah, were together for 6 years before we met, and she's been a shadow hanging over us the entire time. At first, I understood. They shared a lot of history, and breakups can be tough. But we're supposed to be each other's future now. We're planning our wedding, building a life, and I thought that he was done with the past. A month ago, Tom got a random message from Sarah asking for closure. He didn't tell me about it, and instead of ignoring it, or at least discussing it with me, he responded and met up with her. I found out when I saw a message on his phone that said, "Thanks for last night." My heart dropped. When I confronted him, he swore nothing physical happened, saying that he stayed over until early morning just talking. I didn't believe him, and what's worse, he got defensive, calling me insecure for feeling betrayed. He said that Sarah deserved closure and that I should understand since he's with me now. The more we talked, the more I realized that he doesn't think that he did anything wrong. I tried to explain how hurtful it was that he did this, especially when he didn't need to. But he made me feel like I was the problem for being jealous of a friendship. But here's the kicker. Tom then had the audacity to tell me that this needed to happen so he could truly move on. He even suggested Sarah should come to the wedding as a friend to show everyone there's no bad blood. I was stunned. How could he think it's appropriate to invite his ex to our wedding, someone he apparently still feels the need to support? I've since called off the wedding, saying I need time to think, but my family and friends are split. Half say that I should be able to trust him if he says nothing happened, and others think that I'm totally justified. Meanwhile, Tom's been telling our friends that I'm controlling and making a big deal out of nothing, and now I'm second-guessing myself. Right. It took a whole night of talking to get their closure. There wasn't any closure going on, more like opening of legs and undoing of pants, but definitely no closing. This comment from J54. Oh my god, don't stop! I'm about to have closure! OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving Tom either 2 out of 5 buttholes if nothing went down and he really did just spend an evening with his ex doing absolutely nothing. But if he cheated, then I'm giving him 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. And we all know which butthole score he really deserves. Am I the butthole for leaving my sister and her new husband stranded on their honeymoon because they wouldn't stop pranking me? I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I have a younger sister who's 26 who's always been a prankster. I've usually gone along with it, but during her wedding and now her honeymoon, it's been way over the top. She and her new husband planned their honeymoon in a beautiful mountain cabin a few hours away, and she asked if I could drive them there since they didn't want to rent a car. I agreed since they're family, and it was a way for me to contribute without buying an expensive gift. From the moment that I picked them up, they were in full prank mode. They switched my GPS to another language, hid my phone when I wasn't looking, and kept messing with the radio. I laughed it off, but I was also kind of annoyed because it was a long drive. When we got to the cabin, they convinced me to stay for a bit to check out the view and grab a bite to eat. Then, they took my car keys and hid them. I spent almost 45 minutes looking for them while they laughed their heads off. When I finally found my keys, I told them I was done and ready to go home. My sister begged me to stay longer, but I'd had enough of their honeymoon pranks. As I was leaving, they sprayed silly string all over my car, a car which I had just cleaned before the trip. So I got in my car and left. But I didn't realize until I was halfway home that my sister had left her purse and my brother-in-law left his phone in the back seat. They started blowing up my phone, begging me to come back, but I was exhausted and honestly didn't feel like dealing with another prank. So I said they could come get their stuff once they got back. They managed to get a friend to bring it to them the next day, but now they're mad at me for ruining the start of their honeymoon. My sister says that I'm being too sensitive and can't take a joke, but I think that they went too far. Am I the butthole for leaving them stranded? OP, you didn't leave them stranded, you just played a prank on them. Ha ha ha, you hide my keys, I take your purse. Seems pretty fair to me. Why are they so mad? Can't they take a joke? That was rSlash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.